Hello, I'm Greg Jarrett. You're in the strategy room. The presidential primary race is tightening for Democratic candidates Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders with nearly 3 weeks to go until voting begins in Iowa. The former Secretary of State holding a narrow 3-point lead over the Vermont senator, according to the latest Wall Street Journal NBC poll. Vice President Joe Biden said during an interview Monday night he wasn't surprised the two are viewed as, quote, neck and neck. So is the Clinton camp starting to get nervous? Joining us now to talk about it, political analyst David Mercer, Brad Blakeman, both in D.C. Gentlemen, good to see you both. Do you think, David, that Hillary Clinton is getting a bit nervous about this?
Well, I believe I wouldn't use the word nervous. I don't think they use the word nervous.
How about anxious?
I don't think anxious either. I think from her experience in 2008, the issue is leave no stone unturned, which is to make sure you touch every voter in Iowa that can go to the caucus and be supportive of your candidacy. And that's what she's going to make sure she does if there's any lesson coming out of 2008. And given her vote-getting capacity, having gotten 18 million votes in the last 2008 election, I think that she still has the organization, and we'll see to it that beyond the polls, she actually wins the Iowa primary or caucus.
You know, Brad, given that she lost in 2008, and let's take a look at New Hampshire. It's not just Iowa, in which she's in a virtual tie with Bernie Sanders, but Sanders has a 4-point lead in New Hampshire. All right, David doesn't think she's anxious or nervous. Maybe she should be mortified and petrified.
How about panic?
Yeah.
I think panic should be setting in. Look, Hillary's got two problems. She has a gadfly socialist who's giving her a run for her money when Democrats would claim she's stronger today than she was back in 2007 and 8. I would strongly disagree. Not only does she have a problem in the polling, but she also has a problem with the FBI. She has a looming, now expanded search into corruption between her dealings as Secretary of State and the Clinton Foundation. So her problems are multifaceted, multi-leveled, and it's not just Bernie Sanders. So if they're not panicking in the Clinton campaign behind closed doors, then, something's really wrong because they have a lot of problems.
Brad,
if I could mention New Hampshire, she was in behind in double digits in New Hampshire come 2008, and she ended up winning that primary. So, again, polls are very capricious
Bernie
and whimsical.
Is from Vermont.
Bernie is
from the area. He's a neighbor.
Bernie's from Vermont, and Hillary Clinton won New Hampshire, and she has a base to go from as well.
All right, maybe she'll cry again. But hey,
okay.
That was very cynical of me, wasn't it? For our viewers, maybe you recall that seemed to turn things around when she shed a few tears just in advance of the New Hampshire primary. But look, the New York Times has a story today, David. Yes. That identifies a serious and legitimate enthusiasm gap between Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton. And it's really quite worth the read how he seems to generate all of these very enthusiastic crowds, large crowds, cheering support, and hers are rather small and tepid. So doesn't that tell us something, David?
I think it's conjecturing. I think it's speculating. And again, we have a lot of that before we do go into these actual caucuses and primaries. But I will say this, going to what Brad had mentioned earlier about all the problems that Hillary may have, yet she's the greatest threat to the Republican Party, and they know it because they have at least 8 super PACs going after her, spending millions upon millions of dollars because they can't compete against her going into the general election, and they're trying to knock her out now. So she's a major threat to the GOP, and I think Democrats believe that she is our best comeback for the GOP in having a third term by a Democratic Party going into 2016 elections.
Yeah, let me quote Katie Bailey out of this New York Times article. I personally want to find out if she, Hillary Clinton, is trustworthy or not. That seems to be the refrain of a lot of voters. So I suppose that not just the email, but now the corruption investigation is taking its toll on Clinton's campaign, Brad?
Look, it's just cumulative. You have to like somebody and trust somebody before you ever get to policy. And she has a real trust and likability deficit. And I don't know how you overcome that. We know who Hillary Clinton is. She's been around for 30 years. She can't reinvent herself. She is what she is, and that's what you're seeing in the polls. There's no way she's going to be able to overcome this deficit, assuming she is going to be the nominee and is able to escape criminal charges. I think that's her greatest liability, is the fact that she may be indicted.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, that's the dreams. Those are the dreams that Brad has when he goes to bed at night. But let's face it, she's got the party establishment in terms of elected officials around this country, hundreds of them that have endorsed her. If they thought what Brad is dreaming about, they wouldn't be endorsing her. So
No, they
within
put all
the
their eggs
party,
in one basket.
well, you know what? It's a good basket to put into when you have somebody who ran for is now running for a second time and got 18 million votes, which happens to be a tradition among Republicans, where the last few presidents have always run twice, with the exception of George W. Bush.
Gentlemen, David Mercer, Brad Blakeman, thank you both. For more on the 2016 presidential race, go to foxnews.com. I'm Greg Jarrett. Thanks for watching.